thought Ralph was going to be here. If not, it'll be Justin and I, and Ralph will read the minutes. And so we have our meeting of Tuesday, July 18th of the Infrastructure Committee. And the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 20 meeting.
Move for approval.
And I'll second that. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing that, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes stand approved. We have one presentation on our, I think, our continued discussion on the pilot program led by Sandy, and then we have 3 updates, and then we'll have time for questions. And so I appreciate everybody being here today on this hot day. And so, Sandy, I think you're bringing us back up to speed on where you're heading on this potentially pilot program.
Thank you. I'm just bring up the screen here.
We're going to see here. We've got controllers going everywhere.
There you go. So, you'll remember that last month we brought forward a proposal and a request for a recommendation
Right.
for a pilot program. There were some additional questions that were raised by the committee. Specifically, you were interested in more detail on the towns that we had visited and
Yep.
worked with, and then secondarily, the cost breakdown of what we anticipated the program to cost. So we've done that. A couple of just recap slides. Again, we have 2 issues, infiltration and inflow. Infiltration is kind of the slow-moving through the ground stuff that adds to what we need to deal with, but it's not got the high spike that the inflow provides. And so we believe that, particularly in the Grand Avenue neighborhood, the inflow is our biggest issue. Again, a lot of the water that goes to our water pollution control facility is I&I, inflow and infiltration, so we're trying to reduce that in general. The cross connections are where we believe there's an issue, again, in the Grand Avenue neighborhood. And again, these are slides that we've shown before. This is the rain event back in April of this year in the Grand Avenue neighborhood that shows the capacity with the red line here, and then how the flow through the pipe, through the meter, exceeds that capacity for a period of time. Again, we're showing the inflow, which is this peak right here, and then the infiltration is the much longer version. So there are a couple of other communities. We did actually look at about 6 different other communities. I'll touch on 3 here. Norwalk, Iowa, just south of Des Moines, population of about 9,000 people. Big growth in the 1970s, but they do have some downtown areas that could have been subject to old rules about connecting to the sanitary sewer. They had 2 flood events, and their program developed. They basically went with a mandatory model, and there was a penalty on property owners' bills if they refused access, and that would sit there at $50 a month, which is obviously a significant incentive for most homeowners. They did limit the program to cross connections, which is again associated with the inflow rather than the infiltration, and they primarily look at some homes. Secondly, we've got Mendota Heights in Minnesota. They are part of a larger governance structure, the MCES, an umbrella organization. They basically limit each municipality's flow to the major plant, and that incentivizes low I&I levels. So they charge a fee to a property that are cross-connected after mandatory inspections, and that obviously incentivizes the correction of illegal connections.
So on this one here, they fine them, but it's the homeowner's responsibility to eliminate the cross connection?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's my understanding. Yeah. Indianola, Iowa, population, again, fairly small, 15,000. Their whole program is based on point of sale inspections, so the only way to sell a home is to have it certified that there's no cross connections. So they've gone down that model, and they have a repair program that allows for 25% of the cost of the correction up to $1,000.
And that's nothing to do with inflow, that's just only the cross connection.
Well, that again is the inflow is typically as a result of those cross connections.
Or I mean, infiltration is what I meant, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, this is the proposal that we proposed last time, where we had a fairly simple program in a targeted neighborhood, specifically the Grand Avenue neighborhood, understanding that the larger program down the road, the citywide program, may have some significant differences. The reason we want to do a fast-track pilot program at this time is because we know we have significant issues in that area. We also believe we can learn some good lessons from doing a pilot that would allow us to expand to a citywide program. Again, our focus is on sump pump and regional connections into the sanitary sewer, as well as downspout connections as well. So this is the area that we're looking at. The issues in Grand Avenue happened at the lower end right here in the 3rd Avenue vicinity, and this is what we call our sewer shed, which is all the houses and properties above that on the sanitary sewer line that would be affecting what's happening downstream.
So the pilot would be inside that red line?
Correct. That's correct.
Black line?
So that area encompasses, according to our GIS, about 2,000 homes, and about 500 of those were built in the 1950s and 60s, which again is significant because that was a period of time when it's believed that those cross connects were actually allowed at that time. So our proposal would be to inspect these homes first, followed by the rest of the other 2,000 homes, but with a priority of looking at the 500 homes initially. And our assumption, which we believe is conservative, but it would be a good starting place, is that about 75% of those homes would require some form of correction. So this is kind of our breakdown, and I can give it in more detail on the next slide here, but this is kind of where we got to with the pilot program estimate, the outreach inspections, and then the 2 types of corrections, again assuming a 75% correction rate is needed. Again, this is the breakdown of that. We can go into this in more detail if you want when we get to questions. So this is the way I kind of saw this in my mind as different options that we could take here, with the recommendation of staff being option number 4. Again, this is just for the pilot program, with the understanding that a citywide program could be different to this. Again, we're looking at a fast track, heavy hit, if you like, where we are able to knock out a bunch of issues quickly to ultimately relieve the pressure on the downstream property owners. And so in this particular recommendation, we'd be looking at voluntary participation that is supported by a really good outreach effort, including social media, where we'd really reach out to that upstream neighborhood. And again, that the city would pay 100% of the cost just for this pilot program. Again, we would write the letters in such a way to say, at this time, this program would be funded by the city. However, this is not guaranteed in the long term. So as we develop the program, we may decide to go with a 50-50 cost split, or even 100% on the owner. And obviously, if folks don't take advantage of our offer of a voluntary inspection and remediation, at this time, they may be subject to high costs down the road. So that's kind of where we're landing right now, although again, there are other options. The reason that we put NA in these 2 boxes here is because it's anticipated that if there is a cost share of any type right now, it would be very difficult to get voluntary participation in the program. Once the word gets around that the city is requiring participation or requiring corrections should they find an issue, obviously people are less likely to open their door to inspection. So that's why we've got NA right there. Again, the suggested timeline, today we're presenting it to you and requesting a recommendation. August would be a city council adoption of the program, and then we would start implementing in September of this year. And with that, that's correct.
couple that came up before was, well, probably with the voluntary program, if people are contributing, we're gonna find out how many people, I mean, if we only get 25% or 30% of people letting us in, that's gonna tell us that we may have to go to a mandatory program.
That's correct, yeah.
And my assumption is hopefully people will take advantage of the 100% incentive to let us in. So how long for 500 and some homes? You're gonna start with 554 homes in that upstream. You said it starts in September, if the city council approves in August. How long do you anticipate that inspection period to take?
It's hard to tell at this point. We're obviously gonna try and visit for inspections when people are home. So it may be kind of Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays type periods. We anticipate between 1 and 2 years for the whole program to proceed.
For context, in the Kenwood neighborhood, we got into 130 homes over a 4-week period, only on Saturdays. So it's doable to do that in a given year.
And this is current city staff. We're not hiring a consultant or anything. We're doing it with our staff.
We would actually hire a consultant to partner with city staff for those inspections.
Is that what we did in the Kenwood neighborhood?
Yes.
All right, Justin, what thoughts do you have?
We go back to the third slide where you talk about 75% of the peak rain. You know, I look at that and it just appears to me that that's just about letting any moisture that comes into the ground is going into these pipes and cross connections. It's awful high number. Why do they either leak or broke, or why would it be that high of infiltration into that system?
Is that because of the age of the neighborhood as an example? Yeah. Okay.
There's a number of reasons. If you think about most of the piping in the sanitary sewer system, you can appreciate it's fairly small. A lot of it's just 8 inches in diameter. Maybe it's larger as you get toward the plant. You know, a typical storm sewer pipe is 15, 24, 36, even larger than that. So the size of a stormwater pipe compared to a sanitary sewer pipe is much bigger. It's an order of magnitude larger. What we're doing, if we have deficiencies in the sanitary sewer system, such as cracks, leaks, cross connections, all these things that are contributing, is we're asking the sanitary sewer system, in essence, to act as a storm sewer system. So that's really what's going on here is, you know, the system has different ages across the board. And we do believe that infiltration has an effect on that number. But what we also believe is that there are a lot of sump pumps and quick bursts of stormwater that are getting pumped into the system. And so those are what are really kind of hurting us right now.
Do we have an estimate on the difference, the percentage of that 75%? What percent is inflow versus what percent is such as groundfall, leaking? Like, do we have any idea of
Yeah, I think
estimates on that?
we can estimate that because, like, on an annual basis, 1/3 of our flow is attributed to I&I, and that'd be more groundwater influenced infiltration. So the 75%, that 33%, 75% number would be more attributed to inflow. But we could try to come up with an estimate. But to further answer your question, the average age of our system is about 50 years old. So the joints have deteriorated in some of it, you end up with some cracking, and that all contributes to that extra water that gets into it, in addition to the sump pumps and foundation drains. Even old basements that take in water and gets into their basement drains, that's a contributing factor. So that's why you see such a high number during really wet weather events.
Well, the sump pumps have been there, I'm assuming, for quite some time.
Correct.
And You probably had some leakage from pipes and that kind of stuff for a while. Just didn't happen all at once. But we, at least I don't know of any real severe flooding in that area until after the major flood in '08. There may have been, and I don't recall it, or didn't realize it. Or we're getting heavier rains. I know at times the rains are much heavier. It just seems to me that that's a tremendous amount of water getting in there, and I'm not sure we're coming up with the answer on what to do about it.
It's gonna be a multi-pronged approach. We can't neglect our own system, our public system. We do have annual programs to rehab, usually lining, or to replace. This would be done in addition to those programs to attack it on a citywide basis. We're not gonna correct all of the infiltration and inflow in the system, but the idea is to get it to a manageable level and to defer as long as possible some major expansions down at the treatment plant. That's the goal, is to make it manageable, minimize the basement backup issues, and push that treatment plant expansion as far down the road as we can.
And I think it's to target that investment as well.
Yeah, it's a targeted investment, and we're not alone in this. This is a nationwide problem. So,
That doesn't influence me a great deal. We need to take care of the people in Cedar Rapids.
Correct.
What, are we seeing this in other areas? This is, we're talking the Grand Avenue area and up around Beaver Park, but my assumption is this is not the only area where we're having these issues. And do we have metering such that we compare new areas to old areas, and is there a difference?
yes, there is a difference. The areas we know of the most are Grand Avenue, of course, Kenwood, Cedar Hills. You see some big spikes up in there. The area east of Westdale Mall area, to the south a little bit, I can't remember that neighborhood's name. But there's
Rolling
Rolling Greens, that's it. There's probably a dozen pockets we can go and get biggest bang for our buck around the city.
You get a lot of infiltration in Rolling Green.
Justin, I think maybe part of the answer your question is why we set up this pilot program is to be able to see how much of an impact that has. So like in the Grand Avenue area, if we feel that a majority of this water is coming from cross connections, it's coming from some people's sump pumps being directly connected into the sewer system. Right now, we don't really have an ability to quantify exactly, like we're estimating 75% of those houses will have an issue. If we can go in and fix this, if we can go in, then we'll have a better number on how many of those houses really did contribute. And once we disconnected all of that, how much did that help us in our system? And it kind of allows us to put together a better program to put in the whole city, because then we'll have some, instead of everything we're doing is based on estimates and speculation, we actually have some data to use.
That makes it much clearer for me, Jim, thank you.
It'll help us through the budgeting process too, when we budget moving forward.
What, again, this is happening in other cities, many are mandatory. Have the other cities seen success? Have we, in the research, Sandy, has it made a difference, these disconnect programs? And
Yes, it has. In every case where I asked that question, frankly, the data was a little bit sketchy, but they were adamant that all those programs had made a significant difference to what they were seeing in the client.
okay. So we've had actually, there's other pilot programs, which are these other cities that have either made it mandatory, so we're not the first one to do this. And so what,
I'll have a follow-up.
Okay, great.
And I'll be done.
no, that's fine.
Your slide from Indianola, Sandy,
You know,
where they were talking about not being able to sell a home until you came into compliance.
Yes.
You got any comments? How did that work? Was it successful, and
Yes,
lot
so
of
this,
pushback from it, or what?
this is an ongoing program that they have in place. And it's pretty simple. They basically ask for, as a homeowner or as someone selling my home, I would go into the city, request an inspection, pay a small fee, the inspector would come out and determine that my home was in compliance or not, give me a certificate on the spot that they signed, and then I would use that in the transaction to go forward. So that would be a fairly simple process. Again, it's an ongoing program. From what he said, it really wasn't onerous on the property owners. They understood that if they were to have an illegal connection, that they really should make a change there. And he also talked about the partnerships that they had with the realtor community. So they worked with those folks to help them understand the purpose of the program before they implemented it.
I wish we had somebody from the real estate community so they could give an opinion on how they feel that might work in Cedar Rapids.
Sure.
So every once in a while, you come across cases where realtors didn't disclose everything
Sure.
about a particular home or piece of property to a potential buyer. And we end up with a lot of difficulties after that sale is made. I don't know if we have anybody from that community that would like to respond to that.
Well, number one, I know the realtors won't like it. Number one, it's just another step. And radon, septic tanks, you know, all kinds of tests going on. The issue is, it depends on how costly it is for somebody to bring in an inspector, you know, to do that, and depending on what they charge for a fee. If the city then, they don't have to wait weeks for a report. If the city goes in, looks, says, okay, it's okay, and signs right there on the spot, that's pretty handy.
That's right.
You know, and so, and then probably what'll happen is the home inspector crowd, we have lots of new home inspectors that are in the market now, that are out there, and they'll probably add that to their list of things that they'll make sure gets done as a part of their home inspection. But you know, I think the only thing this does is it's not attacking one area, because the secret to this system is it's only when houses sell. So if we have an older area where there's not a lot of transactions going on, we're not attacking those areas that we know are causing the problems. We have to wait for that whole area to turn over to really have an impact versus the pilot program.
That's a really good point. One of the things that we have heard as we continue to do our research is that a more effective program is one in which you attack small areas at a time instead of a broad strategy. So, you know, you're trying to attack I&I, you hit it in a certain area and get rid of it right there.
So per the step, you're asking the committee to allow you to move forward and present to the full city council this pilot program.
Correct.
Do you have any problem with that, Justin?
No, I think we gotta do it. I think you're on the right track. So I would put that in the form of a motion that we
Okay.
do that.
And I will second that motion. Any other discussion, comments? Sandy, anything else you have? This is what you need? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Proceed. Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing us the additional information. And you may want to get this to Ralph, because he had a couple of those questions, and maybe give him a personal call and sort of walk through it, you know, because he'll be an important part of that discussion. Thank you. All right, the lights are back on. We're ready. Everybody's awake. We're ready here. Okay. Next items we got 3 updates, and Justin. I didn't see Justin in here. Where's Justin? Oh, there. Justin over there. There's Justin.
Different Justin.
The same color.
Different Justin. Justin Culver, sorry.
Good afternoon. Yes, I have a first update is on the post televising for directional drilling and utilities.
Yes.
So we met with the utility companies at the joint utility meeting a couple months ago and gave a proposal of the scope of what we would ask them to do post televising on after they install communications, gas, electric, things of that nature, after we discovered that we had a lot of cross bores within our storm sewers and sanitary. Their primary feedback was that we just allow them time to budget for the requirement, and that was about it. It was a good conversation. So we're going to place that and meet with them again once we make it formalized here this fall, and then put it into ordinance with the goal of implementing it in January of 2018. Sorry.
January 2018.
Yes.
How many incidents are you seeing out there? I mean, I'm hearing, I had a personal one where they drilled through. Yes.
So we're just, I can only specifically speak to striking of public storm and sanitary sewer. For storm this year, we have found 11 within our storm sewer, and we've televised close to 8 miles. So it's at the right depth for the directional drilling of where they could easily strike them. So,
Mine was a sanitary sewer, and they found out pretty quick when the basement started backing up. You know, and then they televised it and found they drilled it, and they fixed it immediately, but they're also hitting sanitaries, private, so that'll be up to the individual homeowner if they have an issue after somebody's been out there drilling and in the street and they see damage caused by water backing up or something.
yes.
Is that something, because I think it's an education process, because I knew they were out there tearing up sidewalks and drilling, and would somebody, the public privately know? How can we let them know that they should be aware of that?
So we did some outreach to other surrounding communities and in the Midwest in general. And one of the requirements that a town in Minnesota uses is that they require the utility or the contractors themselves that are directionally drilling to put door hangers on each of the residents within the alignment, letting them know that they have sewer troubles, for them to call the contractor. There's more of a risk depending on what utility it is, if it's gas versus electric. And so there's been some instances reported in other communities where there's been injuries such that trying to go through this utility. So we want to put in place a requirement that they'll post televise the public portion but not the private, but use door hangers as.
Okay, so that is going to be a part of your recommendation.
That we can look at. And we can put that in the next meeting with the utilities, we can bring that forward.
Yeah, not requiring them to do it, but at least have the door hanger, so if somebody has a problem, they realize that that may be the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Justin, any questions, or?
No, sir.
Okay. So you're proceeding, and when will we see that back? Are you going to bring a formal proposal back here?
We can.
And then we would then send that on to the city council?
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll be part of, it'll be part of the right-of-way ordinance.
Okay.
It won't be an ordinance all on itself.
It'll be just added to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that sound good? All right. Thank you very much, Justin. Stormwater and sanitary sewer master plans. Any updates there, David?
Well, I thought I'd kind of go over what we have planned for FY18.
Okay.
Both these master plans on a 5-year cycle to be updated. We're winding down on the FY17 progress, and I've kind of outlined the highlights of those in the packet. But in FY18, what we're planning on doing is taking a look at some identified growth areas as identified in Envision CR, the northwest and south areas. We're going to continue with some more detailed modeling. We call them basin level models. Rockford Road area where we had that detention basin being constructed. We've had some downstream flooding. We want to model that in more detail and see what additional improvements we can do in that area to mitigate that. The Czech Village area, and then Kenwood. We're going to circle back to Kenwood and try to determine some more specific CIP projects that we can implement, perhaps in the upstream of the Grand Avenue area and other areas that are more susceptible to flooding. The Cedar Lake Watershed Master Plan is kind of an optional item that we hadn't identified as we go through that. We're still working through what the scope of that might be and the associated fee. So we'll be getting more information on that soon. We're gonna be looking at financial needs, as we do every year. There's some outside funding, sources, and then continue on with helping the city with education efforts and demonstration projects. We're gonna start looking at asset management incorporation, like what frequencies should we be replacing, rehabbing, replacing our old pipes, that type of thing. And then annually, we go through a CIP update and refinement, where we look at the rankings of projects and prioritize them, and then get into some more policy things for like green infrastructure, possibly a green ordinance in the future, and drainage easement policy. So that's what we have coming up in FY18, things we're going to be looking at. And if we move forward a couple pages to the sanitary sewer master plan. In FY18, we're going to be looking at the same growth areas, northwest and south. We're going to be doing some hydraulic modeling for the trunk sewers, the big sewers. We're actually going to jumpstart that with the Grand Avenue thing. There's a lot of interconnections there that makes it difficult to do like a tabletop type analysis. So we want to use a hydraulic model to figure things out better, to help us define projects to mitigate sewer backup issues and overflow issues. And then look harder at I&I studies in Lennox and Grand and other neighborhoods, which ties in with what Sandy's presentation was all about. Similarly, we're going to look at an asset management program, do our annual CIP update and refinement, and then start looking at some big policy items, like what design storm event should we be sizing our sanitary sewer collection system for, not sizing, but accounting for. Because we are rainfall influenced, should we be managing it to a 5-year storm event, for example, or a 10-year storm event? And there's some work going on through the DNR. Right now it's undefined what cities can use for a design storm event, but I think they are, there's some work going on maybe defining that for cities to design around. I don't know if I explained that very well or not, but just you can jump in if you want to explain better. And then another policy thing is connection and extension fees for growth. As we look at these growth areas, traditionally development pays for development. They extend the sewers. At times in the past, the city has helped facilitate that. Do we want to continue that path? Do we look at some other model? If we do sewer extensions, do we set up a ordinance where we establish system development fees, that type of policy thing? So that's what we're looking ahead to in FY18. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
And these are all, studies that, have we done these in the past?
We have, but not in a comprehensive type master plan document like we're developing now.
So this will give us better information on a bigger scope that we can use for future, like you say, future budgeting.
Correct.
Is there anything that we should be aware of to share with the council relating to these studies, or is this something?
Not really. I mean, this same information is in the master plan documents itself. I just wanted to highlight them for infrastructure benefit, so you're more aware of where we're heading this upcoming year.
Okay. Justin, what questions do you have?
Maybe based on known facts, it just appears to me in the last couple of weeks that we've not had the rainfall that we've been having. So a lot of the rivers are way down. Some of the ponds and those type things are down. Is that interfering with any cost structures or any plans? Anything that you're trying to develop because of the water problems? When we're not experiencing any right now because of the weather. Does that harm you for doing your job?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
I would say no. I mean, we just have, we know we're in a dry weather pattern right now, but that doesn't influence, we already know we've had wet weather problems in certain areas. I will say, we've been monitoring the Grand Avenue area quite heavily, when we've had some, oh, Justin left. When we've had those little rain events lately, what we've noticed is the meter doesn't really nudge up any, because we have the dry ground conditions, which leads you to believing, when saturated conditions, we got sump pump and foundation drain connection issues. It's not necessarily a
That's a good
downspout
point.
issue.
Yeah.
Um,
So if the ground soaks it up, then it's just less water going into the system. Huh.
And, the only other question I have, Dave, all of the information that other people working for the city of Cedar Rapids throughout the years in the fields that you're talking about, gathering this type of information, do you still use that, or are you just trying to
Like the
now
flow
kind
meter
of
data. and-
bookshelf everything and just start looking at everything from a brand new
Yeah, that's part of this
approach?
effort. We have another project that we're working on, for example, the flow meter thing. We have tons of data on flow meters, but right now it's not real easily available and easily able to take a look at. We're gonna go to an automation type system, where we can pull up on a screen and look at the flow data more live. And that'll help us evaluate these trouble areas, get sewer maintenance out to address problem areas quicker. It's just gonna be better tools for us to use going forward. But yeah, we don't lose that data. There's a lot out there, and it's time consuming to sort through it all. And some of the historical data on our problem from a maintenance perspective area, we know where those areas are. We have the intergov type system that helps us track that stuff better. We got better tools today, and that makes our jobs easier in the long run.
But we have better tools today, I would hope we do. But we also, I think you're saying, when a problem develops, you'll go back and look at the history of what do we know about that
Yeah, absolutely,
situation,
yeah.
and then update plans and.
I didn't have any other items. I appreciate the update, and I think what we want to do is, with the data in these areas, I think in future meetings as we look at reports, is maybe give an overview of some of the new projects, that are in the pipeline. I think you did that a little bit over the next couple of years, and which areas should they help? I'd like to have, because again, we don't have enough money to do all of these different areas that were being identified, and so we're targeting the ones that are not necessarily the easiest, but ones that we are working on, such as that 18th Street, Vinton Ditch area, a couple other areas. It might be good so that information is available, and maybe we present that to the council so they can see we are making some progress in some of these areas, hopefully, and that'll be the result
From
of some
a
of these
stormwater
projects.
perspective. Yeah,
Yes.
I gotcha.
Just a thought, as you get further in.
Yep.
So that, because I'm sure they have citizen questions, whether you're an at-large member or district member, all of us are impacted by these flash flood events. So, any other questions on this? All right, the next report is on water. Bruce, is that yours?
Yes, very quickly, we anticipate filing 3 projects in the next couple of months. The first on the 8th would be the solids dewatering HVAC improvements. It's kind of a follow-on to the 8 other HVAC improvements we've been making at the plant over the last several years. A couple of years ago, we finished the admin building, and then ongoing right now is the operations and maintenance building, HVAC. And in conjunction with that, the odor control projects. So, that'll be coming up. Filing, we anticipate August 22nd, this J Avenue slide gate upgrades. Looks like a small scale project, and it is, but it's the first step in our phase 2 improvements. Once we get those slide gates installed, we'll be following on later this fall with filing the remainder of the J Avenue phase 2 projects. And once we've got the slide gates installed, that'll facilitate being able to do that project fairly efficiently, relatively.
Slide gate does what again?
Stops water flow from one basin into another. So
Okay.
we can direct the flow of water so as to keep a basin out of service. but still be able to work in the other basins.
Improves isolation.
Okay.
So that'll be coming up, and then finally in September, sludge storage tank repairs, kind of a large-scale maintenance project there. So, water main projects, they're pretty much all, again, in conjunction with Paving for Progress, and we identified 4 of them that'll bid along with these PFP projects in November for next year's construction, and then the public hearings that are associated with the water WPC plant projects that are coming up in August and September.
The one on O Avenue Northwest, it says estimated project cost $4.3 million, and then what's it mean, budget 1.12, what's that item?
$1.2 million worth of water main project,
Okay,
and I guess I'd have to clarify, I think that's included in the 4.37, or is that just the street portion?
is that, I mean, the overall project is 4.3, but we're only doing 1.2 in this phase, or?
No, the whole project is 4.4 million.
Yeah, because you seem to have those little budget things out to the side there.
And then the water portion of it is 1.2
Oh,
million.
okay, okay. Water distribution system, okay.
So for instance, Memorial Drive,
Right.
just under half that project cost is water main.
Oh, I get you, okay, so in other words, the total, that 1.638 is the total project cost of that street.
As we understand it.
And of that, water is 700,000. Okay, thank you, that answers my question.
Sounds seems right, doesn't it?
Yeah, thank you.
Gives you
Just-
an idea what portion.
Portion
of
goes to the
project.
water, and then,
Yes.
Justin, do you have a question?
No, sir.
Okay, so thank you for the update. I think that's the last, Matt isn't here, so I can't, I saw his yellow striping thing out on First Avenue, I had to dodge it. So I know he's out striping, I didn't see Matt here, I always like to let him know, keep an eye on his street.
Somewhere discussing wayfinding signs.
Oh, that's right, I'm gonna stop down there after that. So, any other items for the good of the order before we go to public input? Anybody have anything they'd like to add? This is actually, we're on schedule with all our presentations. Jen, do you have anything? All right, public comment? Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I've heard Grand Avenue mentioned several times, and I look forward to the day when it will not be on the lips of any of our city engineers, especially in public works.
Yes.
In my growing up, I never imagined that I would find a sanitary sewer project exciting. But certainly I was heartened by Sandy's report, and look forward to the outcome of that, and hope that we really do see some good results, because neighbors on Grand Avenue have been getting sewer back up since 1991. So this is a long-term thing. It's intensified in recent years, beginning in 2009, really, 2008, but in that time. So the sanitary sewers are one aspect of our concern. I recently sent a video, I believe I sent a link to Sandy and to Dave, of runoff from Vernon Heights and down Grand Avenue. I don't know, I'm assuming they looked at it just out of professional curiosity, if nothing else. And I don't know how widely it was shared. But flash flooding is a major issue, and we all recollect, I hope we recollect what happened in June of 2014. That just on our block, 1800 block of Grand Avenue, we have 5 new cars. At least they were new in 2014. So it's a big expense. There was, a couple of years ago, I believe, a priority to do something about the easterly part of Grand Avenue, especially east of 21st Street, where you will see at the corner of 21st and Grand, you will see the first storm sewer outlet or intake, and beyond that there are none. And if you I'm not sure of all the reasons, but I understand from Director Winter in a response she made to a query that I posed to her that the Grand Avenue project, which was at that time a fairly high priority, has now lapsed into somewhere short of oblivion, I guess, but is not as high priority as it used to be. Well, I hope it will rise in the interest of the Public Works folks and the storm sewer folks, because we are having people leave the neighborhood, leave Grand Avenue because of flooding. 2 houses are for sale right now, and in large measure because of the flooding issue. So I'm hoping that that this decision to lower in consideration the project on the easterly part of Grand Avenue to do storm sewers and to take care of the street and put some gutters in there, of which there are scant, that will help guide the water, and to put a sidewalk in there. I understand that there are some people on the south side of Grand beyond 21st Street who think that having a sidewalk in there would ruin the look of their estates. I appreciate aesthetics as much as much as the next person. On the other hand, I'm also grateful to know that the city government is concerned for public health and public safety of citizens who are constantly put in jeopardy by the continuing threat that is posed by flash flooding. I hope we don't have another one this year, but we very well could. So I'm hoping that this committee, the city manager, whoever helps set the priorities for this sort of thing, will help the Public Works Department re-engage on this matter so that we see some results from it, some good results, so that I can come before this committee at some future date and say that I'm as excited about a storm sewer project as I am today about a sanitary sewer project. And that I will be able to say this is probably the last time I'll have to come and speak about issues on Grand Avenue, because we won't be hearing a lot about it anymore. So I thank you for the opportunity.
And hopefully, Robin, one thing I want to pass back to you is hopefully you can help us in that outreach so that we can get into as many of these areas as possible on this pilot program. So I know you can be helpful with your messages. So any other comments? Hearing none, Justin?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much for being here.